Chapter 73. Michael. This isn't quite the way I wanted your stag do to turn out, Dan says. We're sat like teenagers on a bench by the pub, eating a McDonald's. It's starting to rain. Can you try and phone her again? Kyle suggests. What's the point? I sigh. I'll only look like a stalker if she has 40 missed calls from me. My mood has dampened the atmosphere, but David is humming and tapping his foot on the pavement. What time is she coming? He asks. 5, I tell him for what feels like the 20th time. It's St. Patrick's Day and there's a special event happening in the evening. That's what the shamrock hats were for, Alex says. I saw a bunch of them in McDonald's. What are you going to say? Dan asks quietly. I run my hand through my now damp hair. That I regret not telling her, that I'm sorry, that I hope she'll still marry me. What about that you're pulling out of the marathon? He says. I don't think I can do that. Why not? The money, I hiss, so David doesn't hear. You know I can't do that to the kid who has cancer. It's not your job to fix everyone's problems, Dan says. Hey, it's Mr. Chase! I look up and see a group of Year 11 boys from my class wearing green Irish rugby shirts. All right, sir. Mr. Clark's here too. Did you get a Big Mac, sir? Yes, David replies. Now I hope you boys are not involved in any underage drinking. Just meeting some friends, sir. Toby, one of the tallest, grins at me. He could easily pass for 18. The rain intensifies. The boys scarper off to find shelter, and Kyle finds a shop with an awning, a bit lopsided and faded, which we can stand under. A stream of water is flowing from the bottom corner. There they are, Alex says, giving me a sudden nudge. From the other side street leading towards the pub, there's a group of girls with bright pink umbrellas. I can just about work out which one is Jen, from her raincoat, and I dart forward in front of the billboard. Jen! She looks at me, but she doesn't smile. Her pace quickens, and as I see the expression on the other girls' faces, I realise that there's a reason she hasn't been answering my calls and messages. When were you going to tell me? She shouts, the rain spattering the pavement, her shoes creating a splash in each puddle as she stalks towards me. Now, I say weakly, feeling my hair dripping onto my face. It's not a good time to say it, but she looks absolutely stunning. People are stopping in the street to look at her, and it's not just because the umbrella catches their eye. Is this some kind of sick joke? Some sort of weird, achievement-driven thing that you wanted to run a marathon and get married on the same day, the day before you turn 30? The whole street is definitely staring now. I made a mistake, I say, trying to just concentrate on keeping eye contact with her, but her eyes are pure fire and it makes me lose my train of thought and all the eloquent speeches I had thought up. I didn't realise, and then there was a lot of money involved. Why didn't you just tell me? I kept trying, but then there just wasn't a good moment, and I wanted to ask to change the date, but then Katie made the invitations. Katie made the invitations with the date that you booked! The date you booked before you even proposed to me! I gulp. Her incandescent rage is beautiful, but terrifying. I got it wrong. I made a mistake, I repeat. Everyone makes mistakes, Michael, Jen says, and her voice chokes up. But it's just you who insists on trying to fix everything yourself, and it'll all be fine. It's all under control. And guess what? This time, it's not fine. I'm sorry. I reach out to touch her arm, and she pulls it back violently. I thought we agreed. No secrets, she says, both tears and rain streaming down her cheeks. I know, I say. When I saw the billboard, I wanted to be here to meet you. I wanted to be honest. It's a bit late now, Michael. She steps backwards, looking up at the billboard and shaking her head. Katie steps forward and puts an arm around her. Let's go inside, she says. The group make their way into the pub, Dina shooting daggers at me, and my sister comes forward. Give her some space, she says. I'll call you later. My stomach is left churning as she follows the others indoors. I'm vaguely aware that I'm soaked through, but I can't bring myself to move. Dan and the other guys join me. "I think that went well," David says. There's a moment of silence. "Let's head back to yours," Dan says.